Welcome to Pera's Playbook. This is your host, Alex Pera. Let's open up our playbook and see who our guest is. Please enjoy. Welcome to episode 181 of Pera's Playbook. Today we're joined by Meredith Braun. She was Belle in A Muppet Christmas Carol. She's also been in many different West End London plays, among other things. So we're happy to have Meredith here, and we've also got Thomas with us. And we're going to chat about all sorts of things Meredith's done in her career. And yeah, I've been looking forward to this. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, we're just going into summer. It's nice, the end of a semester at uni, so things are beginning to calm down a little bit.
Yeah. Yep. Same. I work at a high school in the States, so we just wrapped up and just working very limited over the summer. So it's nice to have some time to reset and relax.
Exactly. I'm sort of deep in assessments and they're all desperate for their marks, but at least I can, I can do it from home and I can sort of be here and get my garden sorted out. Makes me sound about 94, but never mind.
No, right. Whatever it takes to relax, whatever is
I've
your
had a busy
hobby.
year. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's been really full on with lots of productions and stuff. I have about 140 odd students on my degree course.
Oh wow.
So it's quite with 50 new ones coming in September. So it's nice to have the gaps. And we do a production for every year group every semester as well.
Wow.
So it's quite a lot. Yeah.
So when you said you have assessments to grade, do you have 140 of them?
Oh, more. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And in lots of different things, we have the kind of the raison d'etre behind the course is it's called musical theatre music, but it's acting through song, fundamentally what floats my boat. And yeah, so they have assessments in that, but they have written and practical, and then of course they have all the triple threat, same things, dance. Um, then we have things like show analysis and movie musicals, and which is always quite funny at Christmas, and lots of extra modules, lots and lots. So yeah, and then of course the recitals and things like that. So it's a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
at the end. Yeah.
So what made you, once you left, acting, and what made you want to go into like the university and teaching side of things?
Well, I've always rather been that irritating actor that likes the analysis bit. I'm more that than jumping on the table and singing. I like figuring out why and what's behind, the acting questions. Who are you talking to? What do you want them to do, say, or feel? What happens if they don't? And developing that sort of truth in your communication and using your own experience so that you can have that connection with the audience. For me, it's all
Yeah.
about that. And so therefore all my career was about that. So why not now, help and show other people and then the young generation about of what worked then and what they might want. It's just giving them techniques and methods and things that they might find useful going forward. It's about truth and it's about humanity, actually, in a bigger picture. It's about that connection. That's what art is for, really, I think. So
Yeah.
yeah, academia and 8 shows a week is not something I particularly want to do anymore. you know,
Right.
I did
Right.
all the things I kind of wanted to do, so I don't really want to. I live outside London now. My youngest is up there, but I like, yeah, I like the balance. There's still an element of performance without it being 8 shows a week.
Yeah, it's hard to keep that pace off. I've spoken with many musicians that talked about the same thing with touring, being gone for
Oh,
long stretches, or professional athletes when they're
mm,
in season, and it's the same thing that you said. I mean, eventually you kind of get burned out after doing it year after year after year, and you want that balance, like you said, if you have a family, it's
I
very
have
important to
three
most people.
children. They're all grown
Yeah.
up now, which is great, but you don't get that time with them if you're every morning you're worried about your voice, when you wake up and you need the sleep because you need a different level of health as well. A cold won't affect somebody if you're writing a book, but it will affect you if you're singing Christine. And it's a different kind of level of stress that comes with that. Um, the fight or flight, I think, is always there, that cortisone. And I think I lived off that for a long time, that it's kind of nice to, be able to have a glass of wine in the evening.
Yeah,
It's a good thing.
right.
It's a nice thing. But I mean, look, I loved it. And I, it was great fun, but you do also associate only with people who are in that world. You don't tend to have, and I'm interested in lots of things, not just musical theatre. And I suppose that's where I like so I wrote this degree course. It's now been running a full 3 years. We started Big Bang all 3 years, and then I also recently wrote the masters for University of Chichester as well, which is starting up in January. And I like that kind of investigation. My
Right.
favorite actor's work, other than Michael Caine, of course, is Philip Quast. I mean, when I worked with him both in Limers and Secret Garden, and he and I were very similar in the way we approached things. It wasn't about ego; it's about telling the story.
Yeah.
And he was such a safe person to work with, so lovely. But it's not always like that. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and all those experiences, all the performances you've done, all the people you've worked with, that all builds up to what you're doing. He
He's
must be really
staring me
interested in
down.
what, maybe I'm saying something really good, or maybe he just thinks it's complete nonsense.
He's
I
actually
don't
really
know.
happy. He just looks really kind of like he could kill you, but he can't. He doesn't scratch, he doesn't do anything. Sorry. You're being upstage there.
Uh,
Sorry, what were you saying?
I just like that all of that you can use that experience now in the university world, pass that on to the younger generation. I think that's super important. It's hard to teach kids about acting if you haven't had all the acting experience yourself.
Yeah, and to know that it's a scary thing to get up there and do it. I mean, my audition process for the course is not a scary thing as well. These colleges, some of them, do it in such a terrifying way that I don't think scared people perform as well as they could. So it's about being supportive and actually going, yeah, you find your way, and about creating unique performers as well. If you're using your own experience and you're using your character, then you will create something that can only be you rather than copy someone else. It's great to steal from really good people in terms of, there are things, but fundamentally it has to come from that truth of who you are. And then no one can be like you. So
Yeah.
I think that's an asset in the industry too.
And it can leave a lasting impact on actors. I've spoken with so many that have like they remember what their acting coach told them or what a teacher told them way back when, and it's stuck with them throughout their whole career. It's something that they use, 20 years later, they're still sticking by what they learned. It's very important.
Absolutely, you do. I think I still do a lot of the same processes I did at 17, 18. I've still got the written stuff on it. It's quite bizarre to read it now. Um, but yeah, you're right. It's what you're taught. And yeah, to just give it a go. It can be done. I think so many colleges as well sort of say, oh, it's the most difficult business, the most it's all sort of doom and gloom. No, why not spend your life doing something you love? I think
Yeah.
so many people spend their time doing stuff they hate. Um, I think I had a bit of a weird experience in that. I genuinely wasn't sort of, I didn't realize that people spend years doing jobs they hate. I really didn't know. I was very fortunate. I was just really fortunate, and I'm very
Yeah.
grateful. So, yeah, really fortunate.
I think it is very true. A lot of people, I feel like they do jobs they hate just for money, right? I'm making a lot of money, so I'm just going to keep doing this job even though I hate it. So it depends on what your priorities are, what matters to you.
Yeah.
Personally, I was doing a job out of college that I hated, and now that I work at the high school, I'm much happier. I make less money, but I'm happier. So to me, that's more important. Somebody else, maybe it's not, but
And at
that's
certain times, yeah, I agree
yeah,
that kind of thing can't it for a while that it's what you need to do. I mean, if you're supporting children or
right.
school fees or you're doing what you do what you need to do. It's quite interesting for me coming out of that. My youngest has just turned 21 yesterday. Oh, Monday, it's Wednesday, isn't it? And it's a very odd feeling. You're like, oh, because I did it. I sort of my eldest is 28. I did it quite young, and so I'm now coming out going, oh, this is fun. This is actually really good. So I don't know what lies ahead. I do. I sorry, things are going beep there. Um, If I turn the volume down, though, I'll disappear. That's not very helpful, is it? I don't know what's ahead. I think I do like things to, I like new challenges, and I think the university was. I started there just sort of teaching singing, and it gradually built from there. And I like that challenge. So I need
Yeah,
new things thrown at me. Maybe that's a hangover from doing lots of different projects,
right. Well,
Yeah.
let's dive back into kind of your career. You started acting at a very, very young age. IMDb said you started acting at 5 years old. You were on stage. Is that true?
Yeah, I was in New Zealand though. I grew up in New Zealand. So my dad was Swedish, and I grew up in Auckland, and I did do a lot of performing. My mother had gone to the Royal College of Music in the 1950s from New Zealand when it took 6 weeks by boat to get there. So she was a pianist, and loved musicals. So I think I just, always had her playing, and I would sing. I played other instruments, but I found singing much easier. less hard work to do it. But yeah, so I did lots of stuff in New Zealand. I did a lot of telly as well, sort of mini series and things like that, and a tour of New Zealand doing. I was Pandora in Adrian Mole, the tour of that, and I did a telly movie with The Haunting of Barney Palmer, American producers, actually, to do with. Yeah, that's weird. Michael Jackson way before, not Michael Jackson, Peter Jackson. Sorry, I haven't worked. I have seen Michael Jackson backstage once, but I haven't performed with them. Didn't perform with them. Yeah, it's complicated. Um, yeah, so I just did lots. I did a lot of performing, everything from TV to adverts to musicals, and then came over to England when I was 16.
So how did you get your role in a Muppet Christmas Carol?
I was doing Les Mis at the time. I was doing Eponine, 8 shows a week, and my agent just sort of put me up for it, and it was just the nicest job because there's a foot going over the screen. Because it was in the middle, every night I was doing Les Mis, which was very sort of depressing, I suppose, dying every night, and unrequited love. And then, well, I guess it's unrequited love. But I took a few weeks off to film Muppets in the middle of it, and stupidly never thought, like, it just didn't occur to me then that it was a Christmas movie and would come back. It seems really obvious, but it didn't even. I just sort of did it and thought, oh, cool, that was. I mean, it was the nicest experience. It was just every bit of it was lovely. The working with the Muppets was just amazing. You sort of chat to them during the day when you're filming, because you're up on these long walkway things, and they're in this sort of gully with the puppeteers and then the Muppets, and then it was only again later that you sort of process it and realize that you'd be the scene in between scenes, you'd be sitting there chatting to Fozzie, who was actually playing Fozziewig, but you'd chat to Fozzie, you wouldn't chat to the puppeteer. So do you see what I mean? The Puppeteer doesn't exist. And it is literally, and I'd grown up with the Muppets. So I was like the biggest fan, completely. On a Sunday night in Auckland, it would always be the Muppet Show. I knew every bit of it. I was completely missed all my lines in the read through. I remember this big room with 60 people sitting in it going, just completely starstruck. Totally. And Fozzie Bear sort of flirting in the middle of that was a bit sort of mind-boggling. As I'd grown up with him, but my dress was quite low cut in that party scene. So much to process afterwards that you just don't think of. But no, I just sort of did it, and then really just loved the experience and went back into Les Mis, and then it was Secret Guard. No, it was Sunset Boulevard after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then with all the song in, the song out, the song. I mean, it was just so. I just because I didn't really think it was such a big thing as it's become, that it was fine. I remember Brian being really, really cross that it was taken out, and calling me, and I'm like, okay, cool. But it happens. It happens. It's happened in other, it happens in things all the time. It's part of being an actor. And but he was absolutely lovely. And but he, I know, and then I think because it was taken out, it's just built up through the years. The absence of the song or it being on the video cassettes way back when sort of meant that people would stop and they'd play the song and then they'd go back because it doesn't make a lot of sense with the plot without it. I get
Right.
that. But to be fair, it is quite hard hitting for an audience if you're thinking 5 to 10 year olds. It's
Yeah.
quite tough. I mean, it's not a happy song. So I get it, but I think the thing with the song is it's beautifully written and it's got such a kind of honest lyric
Yeah.
um, that it resonates with so many people at so many times in their lives. And yeah, it's just a really well crafted song.
I had no idea that it was taken out until I started doing research. Like, because the DVD version that my parents had when I was growing up had the song on it. So I just
Oh,
thought, oh, that's
yeah.
that's the normal way. And then I
Mhm.
started doing some research, and then, oh wow, they took it out because it wasn't childish enough. But like you
Mm.
said, it's needed for the story to show that Scrooge's past, to show what happened and how he valued money and
And
power
so,
over
yeah.
love and
And actually, it's quite a feminist statement, really. I mean, I think she went off to be a suffragette and kind of, when she left him, I think she went off to have a career herself. It's early, mid-Victorian Britain, isn't it? So I think she
yeah.
would have been suffragette. Yeah, I think so. She knew what she was saying, and yeah, I mean, a lot of the characters I've played, tend to be these kind of female kind of, but you cannot play a victim. There's no point. That's not. You've got to play the strength in it. It's what happens to you, and whether it's Christine or I mean, look at Eponine. She dies for Marius. I've often played dead, dying, or ghost. And generally quite depressing. And I do I mean, the funny thing is, I'm not like that at all. I'm actually quite optimistic, quite jolly, but I do like a serious song.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's where I get it all out. I don't know. It was a bit disturbing at the end of shooting each day. They have they have lots of repeats of the same Muppet, but in different costumes and things. And then they'd hang them up on the hooks at the end of the day and be like, I've been talking to you all day. This is just devastating. Um, I don't know. It was great. It was really an honor, obviously, to work with Michael Caine. Um, yeah, icon.
Yeah. No, Michael Caine's great. He's the best Scrooge. And I mean, I've seen a lot of different versions of A Christmas Carol. And I might be biased because I like the Muppet version so much. I think it's funny, it's humorous, whatever. But I think he plays a really good Scrooge. He's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah, he plays it for real.
Yeah.
He plays it. He wanted to. The hope of him taking the role, I know, was to play it truthfully, and I think that's what makes the movie work. That all the humans were all playing the story for real,
Yeah.
and so are the Muppets as actors. They're playing it
Right.
for real. Um, Yeah, gorgeous, isn't it? There's so many little things in it, though. I have quite a few years of not really watching it, and then I did and went, "This is rather good." And there's all these details. And last Christmas, I went to the first time to the symphonic concert of it, where there's a big orchestra that accompanies it, and they play the song. So it was me singing it weirdly up there with a symphonic orchestra, and just before just it was like really weird. Really. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. It was just like the strangest thing. It's just a gorgeous thing to be associated with. And
Yeah.
stupid. I just didn't realize it would be a thing.
Right. Yeah, I mean it still is very popular today. It's one of my favorite Christmas. I watch it a couple times every year. It's, kind of a staple. I gotta see it. I love the music, makes me happy. I don't
It does,
know.
doesn't it? Yeah, and those songs. I know. I know. I'm waiting for some of my students to do some of the other songs at one point. I think we'll do
Yeah.
the happy ones. It'll be really good.
The
Really
one thing
fun.
you have to say about Michael Caine, he's not the greatest singer there ever was.
No,
Great
and he
actor, but
did that himself. He
yeah.
was really scared of the singing, bless him. He really was. Yeah, he was very complimentary to me, but rather scared of. But I tell you, he can cry instantly. It's just astonishing.
Yeah.
boom, and you think, wow, his craft is amazing. But no, he
Yeah.
was a bit of the singing, but
Well, yeah, I mean, he known for being an actor. There's plenty of actors out there. Like I love Mamma Mia, but Pierce Brosnan is not a great singer. He does not have an awesome singing voice.
no, and some actors just can't act when they start singing. I mean,
Right.
Michael can. He was
Yeah.
acting, but I mean, there are some well-known examples in quite famous movies not too long ago where, they just stop being able to act. And that's why acting through song is such a big thing in my, I don't see the difference between acting through song and acting, to be honest. I mean, there's the same techniques, whether you're looking Meisner or whatever, but sometimes people get so frightened, I think, by singing with good acting, they forget all of what you do. And it's quite funny, to be fair. But
Yeah.
I've gone in the other direction. So
Yeah. Some people can't rub their tummy and pat their head at the same time, you know?
exactly. Yeah, maybe that is the same thing. Maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe it is. It is astonishing, though. Yeah, it doesn't have always happen, but it occasionally does.
Yeah. And then
It's not,
you
yeah,
recorded and released When Love Is Gone on your own album in 2017.
yeah. That was yeah. That was an album which is actually a song cycle, so it tells the story. But I never released the story part of it between the songs. Um, maybe at one point it was going to be sort of a one woman show there, but there are two originals in there, and then the other songs. And when love is that version, I did all the arrangements and played them, and that version of When Love Is Gone, my youngest was playing the cello on it when he was, gosh, how old is that? He would have been about 13, wouldn't he?
Oh wow.
2000, even younger, 12. Yeah, he was at the Royal Academy. So it's really close to my heart, but there is a story which I've never released that goes through it. So that was a kind of a different project, you know. It wasn't a songs I like to sing, it was a story.
Yeah.
Um, that again, I think that was leading me into more of an it had balanced both the writing and in a way the research and the academia with performing. So it was
Right.
probably a gateway drug to what I'm doing now, if you think about it. And I hadn't actually thought that through, but yeah, that was great. It was really good.
So we already kind of mentioned, and you've mentioned some of them, but you've done a lot of work on the West End of London, which is kind of like Broadway for people in the States. But Fan of the Opera, Les Mis, Sunset Boulevard, we could list them all. Some of the biggest musicals. You've been a part of them, playing various roles, and Andrew Lloyd Webber, obviously a giant in
Yeah.
the industry, also one of the richest musicians in the world, which I always find so interesting.
Mm.
He's associated with plays and musicals, but he's up there with Paul McCartney in what his net worth is, you know?
He writes a very good tune. He really
Yeah.
does. Yeah, excellent tune. I remember looking at he had at his house once, there was some party, there was a canaletto, just hanging on the wall, and you go, wow, that was back then as well. That was quite a while back. But no, it was an amazing team actually. Sunset originally, it was because of course it was Trevor Nunn, Bob Avian. Um, yeah, it's great what's happened with Sunset since. It's fantastic. The new production of it as well. But I'll always be a Patti LuPone fan. She's amazing. She's incredible. So it
So
was great.
was it like a cast party that was at his house, or?
Yeah, it would have been, I think, something, I can't remember which, but there were various. I also remember doing a workshop, which sort of performance trial version of a show called Killing Rasputin at his country house. He has a chapel there that's a theatre. That was really good fun weekend. Um, but my yeah, I was, oh God, what was I, 22, 23, 22, I think. And I'd just gotten married. My now ex-husband, my now first ex-husband, was conducting it, was the musical director. he didn't audition me, so that's not why I got the role. But it never worked for me. The nepotism thing never worked. I'd had to fight harder and harder for my roles than ever because of it. But yeah, we had an amazing time. Lots of fun things through all of that.
Yeah.
Lots of things. Yeah, I mean, back in the day, Les Mis, we used to have pancake day parties, and when things are new and it's early on. And I remember the opening night of Secret Garden. It's like everybody was there. There wasn't anyone who wasn't. I remember Goldie Hawn coming backstage to meet Patty, and my husband at the time was just jaw. He was just so overwhelmed. Maybe that's not a good sign, but it was great fun. Yeah, it was pretty full on. But then I did some that weren't so successful in the West End, like Out of the Blue, and now would be seen as not such a good idea. But I was, yeah, great experiences, and then of course had my children and things. So yeah.
Do you have a favorite memory, like looking back on your performing career, or is it hard to pick just like one that stands out?
Different ones for different reasons. I think Eponine was a dream come true because I'd seen it when I was 13 and came over to England on a holiday. So to get it was just, I'm friends with Frances now, who created the role, and her kids went to the same school as mine. It's lovely. But and actually, her stepdaughter is about to start on my course, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Swings around,
Yeah,
isn't that
yeah,
lovely?
full
Yeah,
circle, like,
I know. It's just so lovely to see that happening. I mean, that was a dream come true at the time. It was such a zeitgeist, such a thing. And that role is a dream to play for a teenager. I mean, I was 18, 17, and it's just like, oh, so that was amazing. Phantom I love because it was so sort of pretty.
Yeah.
It's so visual. And then you just get completely into playing this Victorian, heroine, and it's just so gorgeous that um yeah, that's really nice. As long as you're really well and your voice is there, you do have an alternate. Or at one point I was doing the alternate. I played it, but I was the alternate, and that was fun because you just do it twice a week, and I wasn't covering, so I literally would go in. I mean, that was dreamy. That was amazing. That's when Oscar was little. But I think as a role goes, I think Secret Garden probably. How could I ever know that song? I
Yeah.
was up at we started in Stratford. It was for the RSC, and then came into London. And that one was that there's something about that song. How could I ever know? And doing that with Philip, that is just it was more grown up.
Yeah.
It's a complicated story, and to have she's dead talking to him, and it's the moment that the force of that brings them together, and they can actually see each other is um wonderful. And the music is stunning. The music is absolutely beautiful. So that probably is a grown up, you know, thing. I love it when the lyrics and the music and the intent and the storytelling is behind it enough that it then transcends straight acting, I think. Not always. There are some dreadful lyrics of musicals. I mean, just appalling. But when that happens, you need to write a really good story behind it for yourself. So you're not actually, so the words are just the vehicle, it's the storytelling you bring behind it and the emotional connection that you bring. So you can get over it's just harder work because, if you're singing Sondheim, it's all there. It's all there.
Yeah.
You just decode it on the page and can do it. So yeah, I'm passionate about the form, and it's really exciting when you see the students just take off with it and do something really special, and you go, wow, that's you just got it. You understood. You got it. It's such a lovely thing. So
Yeah. I would love to see more shows personally. I haven't been to a ton. I live in kind of a small town in Upper Michigan, and we have a
uh-huh.
university here, so we do get some performances at their Performing Arts Center. Like I've seen various renditions of the Nutcracker with different ballet companies that have come through in
Wow.
recent
Yeah.
years. But other than that, they don't get a ton of musicals and plays and whatnot. I had the pleasure, I got to see Mamma Mia in London when I was in high school at the Novello Theater, and I became a
Goodness.
huge, huge fan.
Who do you remember who was in it at the time?
I do not remember. It would have been like the summer of 2018, I think.
I wonder if
Yeah,
Lindsay Haitley in it then, playing Donna.
I don't
She
remember.
was
I
she
was
was
so
the
long.
I took over from, and she was in Secret Garden with me, but she did it for quite a long time. I wonder whether it
Yeah,
might have been Lindsay.
yeah, it was wonderful. I mean, it was
Yeah,
great. I'd love to see it again. I mean, the movies are awesome too. I love the movies, but
yeah.
seeing it live, you can't beat that. I'd love to see Phantom of the Opera someday live. My
Live,
parents,
it is pretty good actually. Just went
yeah,
back to see it and then you go, yeah, and Miz too. I mean, there's a reason why they're still around. They're really good. You
yeah.
need to go to actually go to Greece though. Have you been to Greece?
No, I am
Uh,
not.
it is like it looks. It's
Yeah,
that, yeah. I'm going again in the summer. It's just like it's so nice.
the most perfect water you've ever seen in your life, and
The best
the
visit in the world with no nasties in it as well. It's just like it's just I don't know. Right, I've got my holiday coming up,
yeah,
so
I'll
I'm
have to
looking.
add it to the bucket list. There's too many places I want to travel that. Oh, Thomas is back. I thought he got sick of us.
I know you walked off. You heard I'm going away. Yeah, no, it's all right. It's Grace. It's okay. It's okay. Do go. It is phenomenal. So yeah, it does look like the movies. I love that. I mean, Meryl Streep is sort of, if I could be someone when I grow up, it would be her. She's extraordinary. She, she's extraordinary. She's so amazing.
I really hope they make a third one. I know there's been talk in like the
Really?
recent year or two. It's so hard to tell what's true and what's not. You can read articles online, but there has been some rumors online that it's in conversation at least that they'd make
Ooh,
a third one. I think it might have been Christine Baranski or she might have said that there's talk at least. And I think all the cast has said that if the story like they would come back, they had so
it
much
was.
fun they would. So I really fingers crossed before everybody's too old. I hope they squeeze out one more.
Yeah. I can't get through the slipping through my fingers, that I cannot get through it watching it or teaching it. I just can't actually do it. That one is my nemesis, that song. I just can't. It's so beautiful. When she walks into the chapel, oh
Yeah.
geez. Agree. I'm an absolute no, I will be there weeping in the corner. It just gets me easily, actually. It's like that movie Inside Out that does it as well. No, no, I'm really hard nosed.
But I think that's good. It shows like the movie accomplished something when it can really strike some true emotion in somebody, or a song actually accomplishes something,
Yeah.
when you can strike that emotion with people.
Yeah. And that's what, that's something that bonds us all, isn't it? We need that in this world at the moment.
Yeah,
Why did you
definitely.
start doing these interviews?
So I started, it's kind of a long story. I'll try to shorten it up. When I was in college, I started doing like I had an online sports page and I would go to like local sporting events and like do rankings. And when I was doing that, I started interviewing people that were from like the local area. Maybe they went on to play college or professional sports. And it got too much to like be in college and like traveling around, taking pictures and doing all this stuff at games. So I was like, I'm just gonna focus on interviews.
Mm.
But I was only interviewing people associated with hockey. So like people who were in hockey movies or hockey players or hockey coaches or whatever. And I did that like 90 some episodes. And while I was doing that, I started this podcast, and I was doing them both at the same time. And I thought, well, this again is way too much. I can't have two podcasts, so I'll just condense into one, and I'll interview all sports.
Nice.
And then
Okay.
I got, like I don't like to be strapped down. I don't want to have constraints. So I was like, I want to interview all kinds of people. I want to interview actors and musicians and people
Yeah.
that have done all these things. So at the new year, I I opened it up and it's no longer just sports. I mean, yeah, I still talk to athletes, but I want to talk to people who've been in bands and movies and plays and whatever. And I feel like my name still fits because like the way I guess I look at it is it's Paris Playbook. Like a playbook is the team's plan for the game, but
Hmm.
we all kind of need a playbook in life, and I hope that like through certain episodes where people telling their stories, their journey, people can pick up little things and maybe advice or whatever, and you can put it in your own playbook. And I think, I mean, hearing other people's experiences, that's the one of the best ways to learn things and to apply it to
Yeah.
your own life, especially if you've experienced something similar. And
Yeah, I think you need other people around doing that, and if we can get that online, then that's great. And in a way, that's what I want, sort of. And I mean, I learn from my students all the time, and it also keeps me feeling really young. It's great. I don't. It's great. Um, it's really funny. And then they're a fantastic bunch. But I think you're right. We need to have these conversations. And I don't think there's that much difference between performing and sport. I mean, this,
yeah,
coaching came out of the same. I did a life coaching qualification. I use it all the time in what I'm doing
yeah,
because it's came from sport. It's you are an athlete if you're a performer.
right.
You need to keep healthy and keep well. It's a kind of slight relief that I'm not having to do it to quite the same extent. Um, so and that, but that's also okay. It's really nice. Nice to be in that position now that
Yeah,
I don't feel there's anything I'm desperate to have achieved that I didn't, and that's lovely. And I've managed. I don't know. Also from a female perspective, to have children and do it through that. I remember not being allowed to breastfeed backstage or about all the different sides of it when you it's really interesting what you go through, and then you think it's normal, you just get on with it. But I love how things are more talked about now and more out there. Bring it on. I
yeah,
think it's great. um
yeah.
because
I th
it's yeah.
I think you're totally right about the sports and like the I've talked to a few people that were athletes, maybe they played a college sport and now they're
Mm.
actors, and they talked about how much they pull from like being an athlete, what you learn about just working on a team and
Oh,
hard work and all this stuff. I mean, if you're on a production or if you're on a movie, it's the same thing. You've got your star quarterback who's the lead role, and you've got everyone else that fills in, and you've got your directors,
yeah.
which are kind of like your coaches. I mean, it's really made up the same way. So if you can work on a sports team, you can apply that to your.
And I think more people in theatre should apply those. I agree with you. Even now, I recently we did Shrek recently with my third year's 50 people in it, 16 piece orchestra. I'm supposedly producing, but I'm also driving the Luton van. I'm doing, you do whatever you need to do to make it work, to make it
Yeah,
happen. You do have to have that mentality of understanding each position. Every
right.
there is a hierarchy, and yes, the buck stops with me, but I'm also going to be picking up the costumes. It's the people. Yeah, and that's what I try to teach the students, that it is about opening yourself up to lots of other possibilities. Work will come from places you don't expect. I never expected to end up in academia from there. But great, cool. That's fantastic. And I've done some bizarre things. I definitely, if I was to be hit by a bus tomorrow, it's a life well lived. So let's hope that doesn't happen. But it's great. I mean, that's good. But that's the same with sport. You don't know what's going to happen from any angle to you, and you have to trust the people you're working with. And that's the ideal. And then if things don't go as you want, you just sort of it's resilience. Who was it I heard quoted the other day? Oh, it's Federer actually saying that he was giving a speech, at a graduation ceremony. I think he was saying, how many. So I'm not a tennis player particularly, but how many times has he won a shot? And he said, 50%. So that means 50% of the time I haven't, even as
Right.
top ranking where he is. And you have to go, right, that was that shot. I'll move on to the next. And you don't let that define you. You have to be in the moment and ready to move on. And I think with performing, you have to be it's genius that it has to be in the moment. You cannot be thinking, well, you probably miss your lines if you do, but did I leave the gas on? But you have to be in the moment, because there's that, as I said at the beginning, that survival thing. It does. And I guess sport must feel similar, that you have to survive.
Yeah.
So you're to that adrenaline moment. My partner's massively sporty. I'm not sporty, but I'm performing and singing, I think, as I say, but he's sporty. And we have this conversation a lot about what it is about sport that really he has to. and for his
Yeah.
mental health, for everything. And I have to sing for the same reason. I have to sometimes just go into a room and sing really loudly because it makes me, apparently, even more than dance, it changes your the body, the way that everything, it changes your mood and it puts you in a
Right.
better place. It absolutely does, which is why choirs are so fantastic and things, I think, as well. But it's
And
interesting.
you can't like dwell on if you make a mistake. Like I imagine if you're acting on stage and you screw up a line and you dwell on that, you're
You're lost.
moving forward. It's the
Yeah.
same thing in sports. If you're playing basketball and you miss a shot and now you get all grouchy because I missed a shot, now the rest of your game is off. So there's so many parallels
Yeah. Yeah.
between. I mean, I feel like you don't see in high school. I feel like or when kids are young and they're in school, right? It's like you've got the actors and they're in one group, and then the athletes are in
Yeah.
another group. But maybe if they blended together, like you could apply so much, and it's just more in your toolbox.
You should bring that into your high school. I agree. I mean, I, as a child, had to make the choice between music and art. You think, why make? I've not, and I've always then said I'm terrible at drawing and whatever. But who knows? I mean, if you're one, I don't know. But you're absolutely right. Let's join. Well, we do all these physical warm ups, don't we? And there's dance. There's so little between it. What I makes I it's not so much in America the case, but in England, there's a real sort of interesting thing with musical theatre that opera is seen as a high art and straight acting, but musical theatre is kind of looked down on. It's not really, you know. And look, I
Yeah.
admit there are some not very good musicals. I completely agree with you, but I think I get the impression in America it's held in much more esteem than it than it is here. It's really funny, and I come up against the acting department at the union, going, "Oh, really? We are doing the same thing."
And I think though, like in America, like operas wouldn't be as popular. They're not as big as like you said, musical theater or people going to plays or
Well,
whatever.
musicals are the commercial thing. I mean, and that's why, I have one of the largest courses at the uni because it's really popular. It's
Yeah.
doing music theatre, and there must be a reason. It's much bigger than other departments, and that's interesting. It's very commercial. I don't know. Yeah, you see what I mean? There's a lot of other sides. I like the business side of it. I like the investigation, and I like the fact it's always different, and I like the contact with the students and seeing, you know, that generation have to make up what it's going to be. And I think there are issues that they're going to have to find a way around. I mean, the representation of women in musical theatre, for one. I don't know how they're going to solve it. These archetypes or stereotypes, depending on which you're looking at, it's up to them to re-examine them. That's not for me to do, but it's really fun to watch.
I think what you're talking about is like kind of a perfect example too of like if you're doing something like if you're an actor, you don't have to just act for your entire life and like I'm only gonna act like you can there's so many different avenues you can do, you can explore all these different things. Like you don't have to do the same thing for your whole life. You can try new things, you can dive deeper, you can be on one side of the camera and then try the other side of the
Yeah.
camera and just like I mean curiosity, explore, just
Mm-hmm.
don't be closed-minded. Like you said, keep your mind open. You don't know where opportunities are going to come from, connections you make. They might not, I mean, it might not matter right now, but in 5 years, that connection might be super important. And if
Yeah,
you
the
close that
reason
door,
Absolutely. The reason I'm at the university is because I did a flop when I first came over from New Zealand, and I did the one that's always quoted as the big flop, Bernadette, in the West End. It went straight into the West End of the Dominion Theatre, 2,000-seat theatre in the West End, and I was playing the kind of love interest in it. And the man who was playing opposite me, who was quite a little bit older than me, but we didn't talk about that at the time, was a good friend. And then I was 16, and this many, so 10 years, about 7 years ago I started at the university. We were in touch. He teaches then. He brought me in as a senior teacher, and I worked with him when I was 16 in the West End. You just don't know. It's really worth being kind always. Knowing the sort of person you want to work with as well, though, I think is important. You learn that as you go along a bit more. Holding to those values and yeah, not burning bridges.
yeah. Yeah,
and now I get to bring my friends in to do workshops and masterclasses and stuff. It's just fantastic because I'm
right.
close enough to London for them to come down and sort of do that, you see, which is just great. So they're in between shows. We had the current Eponine coming in. She came in recently. We had a current lead in six as well come down. We've had, yeah, Anthony Drew and of Honk and, Styles and Drew, loads of people. And it's just lovely to be able to call them back
Yeah.
to do things. So it's really important that you don't, yeah, you look after those relationships.
And you mentioned kindness. I mean, that's just like the bottom line. Nobody wants to work with mean people. Nobody wants to work with negative,
Oh,
crabby people. And that's true with whatever your job is. It doesn't matter if you're in sports, acting, or the business world,
yeah.
whatever, you just got to be a decent person and
Talent.
people want
I'd
to
rather work with someone less talented and nice
oh yeah.
a billion times over. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You might be the greatest at what you do, but if you're a total jerk, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. There are a few.
Yeah.
But there are a few. But absolutely, you just, yeah, I completely agree with you. And you do one production and go, okay, I don't want to work with them again. That's fine. I won't, because that's how the business, and I'm sure the sports world works as well.
Yeah.
Um, I know. So do you teach sport at the high school?
No, so I do a lot of refereeing, actually,
Oh,
sports,
wow.
high school sports, American football, basketball, track and field. And then at the
Wow.
high school, I'm a paraprofessional, so I work with a lot of kids. You're kind of like a teacher's aide. You go to the
Mhm.
class you've got kind of certain students that I kind of assist
Yeah.
and you help with their homework and their tests and whatnot. I really like that. You don't have the same responsibility as a teacher. You don't have to have lesson plans and
Yeah.
and you don't have to deal with crabby parents, but you can still work with kids and help kids and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in the sports sense, I got into refereeing and I love that.
Great. No,
Yeah.
that's really giving back as well.
Yeah,
It's yeah.
it's a lot of fun. It's a great way to stay involved in sports because I mean you're right there, you're part of it and it
Yeah.
yeah.
Middle of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. No.
literally. Right in the middle. Like
Yeah. Literally. Yeah. I used to play rugby. It's so dangerous. Yeah. Well, last time I watched rugby,
oh,
I
I
would
couldn't imagine playing rugby. I
run
mean,
away from. Oh,
American football, at least they've got pads and helmets, but I mean,
yeah.
and I know
Clean them
rugby,
up a
it's
bit.
like if you did
Oh,
right, they teach tackling techniques better, and it's that's the whole point. They don't have helmets and pads, but still, I don't care if you tackle the perfect way, it's gonna hurt. It's
brutal. It's absolutely brutal. I
running
watched
full speed into somebody and
I
just
know my partner's son. I watched him play once. I just wanted to run onto the field and get him off. It was just terrifying. They all think it's great, but oh, honestly, no. My youngest is a musician, so yeah. Fortunately, they've all run away from the ball. Really, more running and yeah, they do more of that stuff. But no, it's great. It's a nice way to end up doing all this. And I love that every year this Muppet thing comes back now. It's just, I think if there's if on my gravestone there's a QR code, it will be the Muppets, won't it?
Yeah,
And
it'll
what a
be
lovely thing to be known for. It's just,
it'll
that's
bring
great.
everyone right to when love is gone and right
That's
to
great.
YouTube. I
It's
love you,
fun.
Belle. You did once,
You did. I know. Look, I said the same thing in Sunset Boulevard. Joe Gillis, you did. Literally, it's like,
That's your
what is
line.
it?
That's
I must have, yeah, I must have something around my face that says that. Oh God, it's really funny. Hey ho.
yeah.
No, it's fun. Yeah, so you're not near a big city.
No, the to get to a big city, you have to drive 4 hours, and that's not even like a big city.
Wow.
It would be maybe a couple 100,000 people, 200,000 people would
Wow.
be like
Oh,
four
okay.
hours. Um, otherwise, yeah, I think that I mean the biggest city that I guess would be the closest would probably be Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Um,
Okay.
maybe Minneapolis, Minnesota, but like Detroit is 10 hours because I'm way up in Michigan and Detroit's way down in the Lower Peninsula. So it's
I've
probably
been
at
to
least a 10-hour
Minneapolis.
drive.
I have been to Minneapolis,
So
but
yeah, not a lot of very rural up here.
yeah, quite different. I'm only like an hour away from London, so it's kind of perfect spot.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
am a New Zealander. I'm not originally English, but I do a good job of seeming like one.
yeah. I really like I live in a town that's it's big enough where there's enough to do, but like it's not. I don't know. We have like there's like a whole bunch of little towns around, and like I
Okay.
said, we have a university here, so that kind of is like the heartbeat of the town. It's not a big university. I think it with undergrad and grad students, it's maybe 10,000 enrollment.
Well,
So
that's
it's
not
like, a
small.
decent size, but it's not huge.
Yeah.
So the community is really connected with the university, with sports, and like I said, there's a performing arts center and
Yeah.
there's all kinds of stuff. Um, but yeah, without the university, we would just, be in the sticks.
Different when the uni's in, isn't it? It's a more fun place when the university's in. I know when we have that in Chichester. It's like it's very nice, but the demographic is quite old until the uni comes back. We have a really
Yes.
good theatre called the Chichester Festival Theatre, which really fortunate that everything transfers into London. So lots of mates come down and perform there, and then they can come over to me, which is great. Um, yeah, no, I know what you mean, but it's what you want at different stages, isn't it? Now
Yeah.
this season is fine. I go up and visit my youngest and have
Yeah.
a bit of London and then come back home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
no, it's good. It's good. I don't know what's ahead, and it sounds like I don't know. Will you move?
Probably not. I really like the area. It's like a
Okay.
great place to have a family, and raise kids.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of family that's around. The high school I'm working at is the one I graduated from, and the staff
Lovely.
is great, and the kids are great, and so yeah, no
Oh,
plans to move out of the area.
nice.
Yeah, it's I don't exactly know what's ahead either. I don't know if I want to go into teaching. I don't know if I want to stay doing this. I don't, but I like you don't have to know right now. You can
Just
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 take it
say
as it
yes to
comes
things
and
that come up and then see what they're like.
yeah,
Take it from there. No decisions forever, I think. That's the one. I
yeah,
mean, I know my students arrive or they come on open days and things, and you go, it's okay. You can change your mind.
yeah,
This decision is not what determines the rest of your life. Yes, it is
right.
but you can change your mind and you can go in another direction. I have students graduating who've gone more into stage management or producing or that sort of side of things. And do you know what? That's absolutely right for them. And that's brilliant. And there's a lot of work out there that way as well. Um, and that's great when people grow through that time and find out what actually they might want rather than what their parents thought or.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely had that from my mother. It was bound to go this way, really. Is that an actual basketball hoop behind you?
It's like a mini basketball hoop
It
for
is
like
one. Oh, okay.
like
Oh yeah. Oh okay. You can tell proportion. You can't tell with perspective whether it's like a massive. You can't tell.
yeah, no, I'm in like a very tiny little office in my house. It's kind of like I turned it into my podcast room
That's,
and
it could be
yeah.
huge. The basketball hoop
Yeah.
could be big. You just can't tell because it could be a long way away. I was trying to figure
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, no, just a little mini hoop.
Oh, that's funny. It works. It works. I just couldn't get my head around it. Sorry.
Yeah, it's great when I get bored and I need like 5 minutes of just
Yeah.
something simple. Like people have fidgets on their desk.
Yeah.
It's like the same kind of thing. You just need 5 minutes to do something childish and innocent and.
Well, it focuses you on something else, isn't it? That's like a meditation technique, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do some warm-ups. Go and do some vocal warm-ups, some singing. It works too, I promise you. It really maybe you
Yeah.
take up singing.
I always wanted to start a rock band, but don't have
Good
much of
thing
a,
to do. Do
I don't
it.
have much of a musical. I did buy a guitar a few years ago. I just need to
Do
learn
it.
how to play it.
Bass guitar is probably more straightforward initially. but you need to be
Yeah.
able to keep the rhythm, keep the beat. They're pretty fundamental in the band. Go for
Yeah.
it. I love a band. So much fun. I think everyone should at some point. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. When I get a little more free time, and
Yeah,
that's, the great thing about like YouTube is you can self-teach yourself most
so
anything
much. Yeah,
for
that
free.
opens up everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, do it. Get a bass guitar. It's probably more entry wise. Or drums, although people you live with may not appreciate it.
Yeah.
And how far away you are.
I played the trumpet in high school. I
Oh wow.
haven't played in, since high school, but yeah, I played the
Great.
trumpet in high school. So I'm not like totally non-musical,
No, do it. Absolutely. So much fun. You can go off and be that rock band. Yeah. My partner's brother just did it at like 50 and he's having the best time. They're writing their own songs and they're performing in pubs and things. And it's like, it's like he's a rock
Yeah.
star. It's so
Couple
cute.
of teachers at the high school I work with, the biology and anatomy teacher, he was in a rock band, like a local rock band, and big into
Okay.
guitars and stuff. So I mean, yeah, good
There you
hobby on
go.
the
You've got your
outside.
band set up. Do it at school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds amazing. Oh, so you're gonna feel weird watching the Muppet Christmas Carol come Christmas, aren't you?
I'll say, hey, I know her.
I do get some really weird messages around Christmas, I have to say, every year. Every year. It's really strange.
I can imagine. Yeah, you might get some difference.
Yeah, kind of weird ones. Just that little step you toe into. Oh God, I'm really glad. I'm not really, really, that would just get an idea and think, oh wow, no, okay. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's about right balance.
right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, pretty good. I hope I've answered your
No,
questions. Do you have
perfect.
any other?
Awesome. I think it was perfect. I think it was the right amount of
Beautiful.
time. I think we touched on a lot of great stuff. Thomas seems to be happy,
Yeah.
so
I think that was really cross. I don't know. Do you want some? I'm vegetarian, but I cook him chicken from scratch. I
I
think
think
that's
he's I think he's saying he's hungry. He's like, you got to get off that darn podcast and make me dinner now. It's time.
very spoiled. He's tiny. He rules. Really genuinely does. But bless him.
Yeah, no, I
Um,
really appreciate you coming
no.
on and sharing your story and whatnot. It was a great time.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. Really nice to meet you. All the best with the teaching, whichever you go into, whether it's the teaching or the coaching. Do a
Yeah,
life coaching. Yeah,
yeah,
do a life coaching qualification if you're being a ref and things. It's really
yeah,
interesting. So
yeah, yeah. We'll see what happens over the next couple of years. But yeah, thank you.
keep open. Yeah, all the best.
Thanks for listening. Please stay tuned for more episodes soon.